you drop the lawsuit there. And so my question to you, big picture, is not, do you have a statement or a claim somewhere from a witness? But what do you do with the fact that everywhere that this has reached a judge, you've been losing in key states? And in some of those I just mentioned, you guys dropped out beforehand. What do you want people to take from this? Here's my big question. What is the point of all this?
Well, the point of this, of course, is to get to fair and accurate results because the election was stolen and President Trump won by a landslide. And how you're mischaracterizing this, I think that your viewers need to understand the truth of this. So let's not forget that President Bush actually lost at every single lower court stage before ultimately Bush v. Gore got to the Supreme Court. The Constitution and the law was applied fairly and accurately. And we have President George W. Bush, not then as the media, your network included, was calling President-elect Al Gore. That's simply not true. So even though we did withdraw the law,
number one, you just said you're using the second person and saying you, but I just quoted you a whole range of sources, including the Wall Street Journal. So let
me finish.
Look,
I'm trying to answer.
I think we have to take. I understand, but you made a mistake. Hold on. Take a pause, and I will let you.
Election integrity issues.
I'll let you go again, but we have to take a pause. If you make false statements, you don't just run roughshod, okay? So you made a false accusation that I had to deal with. Hold on, and then I'll let you go again. If you've seen this program, people get their turn. I had Rick Gates on here recently. He got time.
I'm trying to answer your false statements because you're accusing us of something that's simply not true. You're attributing lawsuit losses to us that were not on behalf of the Trump campaign. And you're
I said Trump campaign and Trump allies. I provided several sources. I'm going to keep moving forward and ask you about another item, and you can answer it or we'll move on.
That Trump apparently won by a landslide. That is what Trump's lawyer is still peddling to the American people on national television. Now, I don't know if Jenna Ellis is so deluded that she actually believes what she's saying, or if she's just being a dutiful soldier for Donald Trump and saying what she thinks he wants to hear. And while I've learned to never doubt the degree to which these people exist on a separate plane of reality, I honestly think that she's just playing her part even though she knows it's a doomed effort. Why? Because her job in the White House, everyone's job there, is to serve Donald Trump. Not the American people, not the Constitution, not the rule of law, but Donald Trump. And so that makes her task simple, to toe whatever line he has set, even if it's completely baseless and runs counter to everything our democracy is supposed to stand for. I should just note for posterity that Jenna knows exactly what she's doing and who Donald Trump is. In 2016, she posted onto Facebook, quote, "I could spend a full-time job just responding to the ridiculously illogical, inconsistent, and blatantly stupid arguments supporting Trump. But here's the thing, his supporters don't care about facts or logic. They aren't seeking truth. Trump probably could shoot someone in the middle of New York City and not lose support. And this is the cumulative reason why this nation is in such terrible shape. We don't have truth seekers, we have narcissists." And now she's at the forefront, propping up the worst narcissist this country knows. Jenna Ellis gave the exact reason why this nation's in terrible shape, and now she's the one responsible for it. Bear in mind too, she's keeping up this entire charade in complete opposition to even a shred of proof backing up her claims. She and the rest of Trump's allies have been in court for weeks trying to prove widespread fraud, only they've been doing it with no evidence. And as a result, the campaign and its allies are now 1 for 35 in the courts. Even one of their 2 wins was overturned in the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. And of course, she'll backtrack and claim that it's not the Trump campaign in court to try and mitigate some of the responsibility off of themselves, but this entire disinformation campaign suggesting that the election was rigged emanated from one person, Donald Trump. So they can pretend like they've got nothing to do with people like Sidney Powell, but if you really think that's the case, then you might want to remind me who the woman standing behind Powell is while she's spouting off about China, Cuba, Venezuela, and Hugo Chavez concocting a plan to steal the election away from Donald Trump.
Here and uncovering more by the day is the massive influence of communist money through Venezuela, Cuba, and likely China in the interference with our elections here in the United States. The Dominion voting systems, the Smartmatic technology software, and the software that goes in other computerized voting systems here as well, not just Dominion, were created in Venezuela at the direction of Hugo Chavez to make sure he never lost an election after one constitutional referendum came out the way he did not want it to come out. We have one very strong witness who has explained how it all works. His affidavit is attached to the pleadings of Lynn Wood in the lawsuit he filed in Georgia. It is a stunning, detailed affidavit because he was with Hugo Chavez while he was being briefed on how it worked.
Sure does look like Jenna Ellis, huh? The fact is, no amount of last-minute damage control is going to change their optics here. The Trump campaign has been busy humiliating itself at every turn, regardless of whether or not they claim credit for what their allies are doing. Rudy Giuliani set up a press conference in a landscaping parking lot between a sex shop and a crematorium. And the following week, he held another press conference where a box of hair dye leaked down his scalp. And all that happened before he even set foot in the courtroom. And mind you, what happened in court somehow managed to be even worse. After presenting his big case, his debut back in federal court for the first time in 28 years, the judge, who himself is a member of the Federalist Society, delivered a ruling dismissing Giuliani's suit with prejudice, meaning it can't be refiled, and then wrote, "Plaintiffs ask this court to disenfranchise almost 7 million voters. One might expect that when seeking such a startling outcome, a plaintiff would come formidably armed with compelling legal arguments and factual proof of rampant corruption. That has not happened. Instead, this court has been presented with strained legal arguments without merit and speculative accusations, unpled in the operative complaint and unsupported by evidence. In the United States of America, this cannot justify the disenfranchisement of a single voter, let alone all the voters of its 6th most populated state. Our people, laws, and institutions demand more." Who could have guessed that 4 seasons total landscaping would actually be the high watermark for Rudy? So that we're clear, Donald Trump did not win this election by a landslide. He didn't even win it by a little bit. He lost by 6 million votes and an electoral college margin of 306 to 232. Trump turned in the worst performance for an incumbent president since Herbert Hoover. And not only that, but Republicans overall did well. They took nearly a dozen seats in the House. They fought back several close Senate races. They actually took state legislatures. The only Republican who was rejected in this election was Trump. Consider that fact when Republicans like Jenna Ellis cry fraud. If there was actually fraud on behalf of the Democrats, don't you think they would have bothered to rig the system to actually gain some of those down ballot races? Don't you think Democrats understand the significance of having the Senate if we want to be able to pass any meaningful legislation? Of course, but then again, that would involve a grasp of logic. So if Jenna Ellis wants to show up on national TV and embarrass herself, by all means. She's had plenty of opportunities to offer even a scintilla of proof for her outlandish claims, and the fact that she's failed to do so is all the proof you need that she's trafficking in exactly the same fact-free universe that she so full-throatedly condemned in 2016. She isn't going to change the outcome of this election, but she's making sure that everyone knows just how little she cares about democracy on her way out the door. If you like this video, please check out my podcast, No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, where I take a deep dive into the week's most important stories and interview major players in politics, including Kamala Harris, Katie Porter, Adam Schiff, Nancy Pelosi, Eric Swalwell, Mary Trump, Al Franken, Cory Booker, and many, many more. Again, that's No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, available anywhere you listen to podcasts.